up? If you're new here, my name is Emmy Lou and I am a medium. I've been a medium for about 7 years now. In today's video, I figured I would just sit down and catch up with you guys. I grew up in an extremely haunted house with a lot of spirits in it, and they used to scare the patootie out of me when I was a kid. You know that feeling when you sprint up the down the stairs, you know, like something's coming after you? That was me constantly. I've gotten better.
Why do you put so much pressure on me?
Calm down, it's fine. Anybody that came over to our house was spooked, got creeped out, did not like it. I believe it's like a protected historic building. It was built in like the 1900s, I think. Literally in the year 1900. A lot of my youth of me being a literal child was me dealing with spirits, and I was a very scared kid. I was scared of everything all the time because these things really never left me alone. I was constantly terrified of like everything. As a kid, I was always told that I had a very active imagination. I was told I was a fibber quite often, but when I look back on stuff like that, I was never really fibbing. These were real experiences of mine. I didn't know how to explain the stuff that happened around me. When I got a little older, I took a lot of comfort in my older sister, who experienced a lot of the same things as me, and she was one of the only ones in my life that told me I wasn't crazy, that she saw things too, and the best thing to do was to shut it out, pretend it wasn't real. She really helped me kind of like close that period of my life off, and for a while I didn't have a lot of experiences until I got older and I started having nightmares about this one little girl that was in my house, and she would wake me up every night, and she was really creepy. She was like the ring creepy, if you know what I mean. I remember, I think I was like 15 years old. I was either 14 to 15 years old when I visited my aunt, because she lives across the country from me. She was super into spiritual things and like crystals. And this was like before the fad of like new age spirituality and like crystals and all that being around all the time. She gave me a little crystal, and she told me that it was there to protect me, and she told me about the spirit that was there. And I remember when I went home, I don't know if it helped me because I was absolutely terrified. It was one thing me and my sister talking about it and getting like spooked out at night. It was a different thing when my full-grown adult was like, oh yeah, and like described her to me without me ever previously talking about it before. Home knowing that I wasn't crazy and there was an actual spirit in my house that was trying to wake me up at night, kind of started getting very scared, and I started opening up to my grandmother a lot about things and working on ways to get this spirit away from me. One of the things that I like to give people advice on is if you can chalk it up to like it not being real, it does work, but there does come a point, if you're like me, where you can't deny it anymore and you have so many experiences and too many things line up that it's just, that doesn't work, and it becomes terrifying, especially when you don't really know how to communicate with spirits or know what you're doing. Did a lot of blessings around my room, and I would get things of like comfort around me, and I prayed a lot, and it did work on some occasions, but it also just kept coming back. Now, the reason why I think it kept coming back is because not only was I terrified of the things that were happening to me, I was also extremely intrigued, and I did find it fascinating. I was getting so freaked out in the moment, but after it happened, it was just so cool to me that I even got to experience that stuff. So yeah, if you are like that, that's probably why the things aren't going away, because you like it, sadly. I also am the kind of person, like, I love scary movies. I love going to haunted houses. Like, I love being scared. So it was enjoyment for me too, but also like terrifying at the same time. It's weird. I don't even know how to, like, that doesn't even make sense, but that's like how it was. So a few years I dealt with doing that, and then I had met my boyfriend, which is now my husband. And this is the part of my life where my mother-in-law comes into the story. She was a big part of me becoming the medium that I am today, because she was the first person that like sat me down and told me to try talking to the spirits and like understanding what they're saying to me. I will never forget the day I was home alone, and I had an experience where there was this man and this old lady that kept coming and I kept seeing them walk through my house, and they were just mad and angry. Like, they felt so scary to me, and things started moving and lights would flicker, and I was just so scared. And I had opened up to my husband, then boyfriend, about it, and his mom was a medium and she had done those things like basically her whole life. And so they came and picked me up, took me back to their house, somewhere where I was comfortable and not terrified. I remember just sitting down at their dinner table with her and her describing them both of how I saw them. She described every single spirit that I had ever encountered in that house to me to a T. And then she looked up the property information and found their freaking pictures, and it was the people that I saw and she saw. So I had 3 women at this point in my life all describe and say the same things that I had seen and felt that they couldn't have possibly have seen and felt. And I think by the 3rd time, I was a bit older, I was a teenager, and it kind of sunk into me that I had a gift of seeing the afterlife. My mother-in-law was the first person to sit me down and kind of talk to me about it in a way that didn't scare the absolute patootie out of me. I remember her sitting there telling me, like, you don't have to be scared, they're just people. They're just people. And they're frustrated. Because I hung out with my boyfriend so much, I was around his mom often, and I actually lived with them for a while. So I got to see a lot of her in action with this stuff. She blew my mind all the time, and she would actually see the same things that I would see, especially when I was like living with them. There was things like I would bring up to her and I'd be like, hey, so like this thing is like in your bathroom and I keep seeing it and it's doing this stuff. She would just be like, oh yeah, that's so and so, she's blah 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 blah. And I was like, oh, okay. We skip forward in time a little bit. When me and my husband got our first apartment, I had a lot of creepy experiences. I was really trying to like understand spirits, knowing that they were people and not like a spooky demon trying to kill me. That is around the time that I found tarot cards and kind of did like a little bit of like tarot lessons with them. I practiced and practiced and practiced with them, and I would start by reading my family members. My tarot readings can be extremely accurate to the point where I feel like I'm being rude to people sometimes. And that is when I started being able to like see spirits that were around people. Like one time I was reading my friend and I was sitting there practicing my tarot on her, and I saw her grandmother, saw her in like a robe and walk across my kitchen, and I literally jumped back and I just said out loud to my friend what I saw, and she just looked at me and she was just like, that's what my grandmother was buried in. There's just been so many confirmations when I was like doing these things with people, and then I eventually did them with strangers. I've always double guessed myself. I don't believe myself when I say it unless somebody is there being like, oh no, that's them. I'm like, oh really? I didn't just make that up. I have proved it to myself so many times that this stuff is real. I've promised myself I would stop denying it. So now that I'm more secure in what I do, I have opted into ghost hunting equipment, and I do use my spirit box often on this channel. It brings a lot of confirmation to what I do here. So that's what I plan on doing on this channel, is to use my skills to talk to people that have passed away and to use some ghost hunting equipment to confirm what I see, think, and feel in here when I do these readings. It has been fun, and I don't plan on stopping. I like to have the scary aesthetic in my videos, but I will always be honest with you guys on this channel. I will not try to scare you for no reason. I would never put you guys in harm's way. There's no negative energy that would come from my videos. I will never do that to you guys. So you do not have to worry about that here. If I post something, it is of love and light, and the spirit is not trying to harm you. I promise. But yeah, thank you guys for watching, and I really appreciate everybody who has subscribed. You all love and light. I hope you guys have a wonderful day or night or whenever you are watching this, and I love you guys. Bye.